Okay, the Origin side, Reedy, Queensland side. Now, look, obviously gets named tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Been reported through the News Limited papers that they are going to, and I'm going to read what the actual report is at the moment. Obviously, this is subject to change, and the validity of it, we don't know where the sources come from, but it's believed that Hamasai Tabuai-Fidow will be at fullback. Jojo Fafita from the Titans will be on one wing. Toya and Jack Howarth from Melbourne. Cobbo on the other wing. Munster and Ponga, Kalen Ponga in the halves. Flegler, Grant, Tino, Cotter and Capewell and Trent Liero make up the 13. The bench looks like this at the moment. Collins, Carrigan, Max Plath, Britton Nikora, Reece Walsh and Sam Walker, 19th man. Now, that's coming from, obviously, News Limited sources today. Peter Bedell's written it, and Reedy, you've been a part of this.
Can I just ask this, right? So some of those guys might be making their debut.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
The first thing that you'd want is probably to get a phone call from the coach.
Sure. And not read about it in the paper.
Yeah.
But that's our job, Gordy, sadly. Sometimes we've got
I
to tell people what they don't know.
Well, I don't reckon that that's the right side.
Well, it can change. I mean, obviously there's games today. Kalen plays today.
Yeah, and that's what, and they have said that, but this is being reported in the paper by Peter Bedell.
Right.
And Reedy, you obviously have seen that same team as well.
Yeah, the team with Howarth in, yes. Yeah. So that was doing the rounds last night. Obviously the big calls there are Kalen at halfback, which is a massive call. I love the idea. Obviously, there was talk that Sammy Walker would get that spot.
You were ahead of the curve. Really.
I was with it. I was the one who brought that up last week.
No. He brought it up on 360 a couple of weeks before that.
That's
but
not
the
true.
idea of Kalen, well, it is true, but the idea of Kalen playing halfback, I imagine Cam Munster will actually play halfback and Kalen will play 6. So Cam Munster will direct the team around and Kalen will play 6. And obviously the other big call is Reece Walsh not being in that team, because Billy, we all know how highly Billy thinks of Reece Walsh. So for him to overlook him and select Hammer at fullbacks, a massive call. And I wonder whether that, given the timing of this team coming out, I wonder whether that's Billy's way of maybe lighting a fire into Reece Walsh before the game today, and whether that can change if Reece Walsh has a huge game today.
Yeah. I spoke to Billy yesterday, and one thing I'll confirm is we'll have a really good side.
Right.
That's it. No. Out of respect for him, he sits there and he announces it, and there'll be some other guys, and I'm sure that and it's always the 11th hour, and there's things that have happened, that happen along the way, and but we just had a quick chat and spoke about a few things, and I'm just confident that we'll have a side that can go out there and compete.
It's going to be interesting today because, not to put a negative light on it, but if either player is, out with a concussion, the 11-day stand down would mean they don't play Origin. So that's a bit of a concern for Coach Slater. Delighted to see Ponga in the number 7 jersey. He's sort of played a bit of a hybrid 7-1 role this year. Seeing him defending the line again, obviously Newcastle tried that when they experimented with him a little bit of 5'8", so that's going to be really interesting to see how he defends in the line. But if these reports are true, no Reece Walsh in the team, that just goes to show the embarrassment of riches that Queensland have in their fullback stocks. Like that guy not being the number 1 just says just how good this team can potentially be. You mentioned there, Dobbo, Selwyn Cobbo on the wing.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Selwyn. I think he had his struggles, and if he is selected, I think he deserves a huge amount of
he deserves it
credit.
Of his recent form. And one thing Billy does he picks on form. Part of me and Gordy, and I don't know, I just would love to see Walsh, Ponga, Hammer, and Munster all in there together. I mean, that's the thing that I think breeds fear, which you could do. But
that's unbelievable, right? So, but rugby league, it's 50-50, right? Yep. You defend 50% of the time if you get the fair share of ball and you attack. So, obviously, if we had the ball, that would be amazing. But sometimes when I went away with the Aussie side, there was too much attack. You know what I mean? It had like Yo to Harry to Munster to Cleary to Walsh. There's a fair few sets of hands before those guys get it. So I'm sure Billy will come up with the right mix on the style of play that he wants to go out there and play.
Reedy, are you surprised, and obviously, how much of this do you think is correct, this team?
I think at the time it's come out, it's the team, right? But as I said, things can change today, Dobbo. I mean, You've got the Broncos playing, you've got Kalen playing. So obviously things can change during the day. As I said, if Reece Walsh has a monster game today, I'd be surprised if he's not the fullback. Because I think, as I said, we all know how much Billy has an affinity for Reece Walsh. We all know what he's done for Queensland in the past, Reece Walsh. So I would imagine that is the one position I think could potentially change today.
But then Hammer stays in the team.
But Hammer stays in the team in the centres, obviously. Well, Shibasaki was the original one who was named there, but Howarth's is the actual centre, right?
The centre.
I'd imagine potentially maybe Howarth could go back to the bench. He's pretty versatile, Jack. I mean, he joined Melbourne as a second rower, actually. Yeah. He's been moved into the centres and become a centre. So he's got some versatility about him, Jack Howarth.
Liero and Howarth are probably the ones that, because there's no Finney Fuyaki.
What about Jojo Fafita?
Yeah, that's a bottle. But his form in Iceland has been very, very good for the Titans. Like, very good. My question mark is around Cooley Kefu Finney Fuyaki. You've got Helam Lukey. Like, these are guys who have been really pushing, who aren't in that side. So you talk about that. There's obviously, and mate, well done. And if that's correct, Flegler
the
getting
guys
back
that live in
team.
Brisbane don't need to pack bags.
Yeah.
So let's just say they would say to 24 guys,
yeah,
hey, we're going to go into camp on Sunday night or Monday, pack some extra clothes. So that's what used to happen, right?
Yeah.
Because a couple of times in Origin, we actually stayed in Sydney and prepared. And Wayne would have rang some guys, and some guys missed out and went home with a big full bag of clothes as well, because at the 11th hour that they don't make it. But that's pretty much, and that's given away a secret. So they might have told, 20-odd players, pack some extra bags, and some might not get selected.
Well, the Melbourne Storming thing's interesting, isn't it? Because Melbourne are going home today, and I mean, Reedy's on this at the moment. Whether or not Jack Howarth flies home or whether or not he stays is a fair indication, and Liero is a fair indication. We know Grant and Munster are staying.
How many are they allowed to have in the squad? I know there's 19, but remember how there was always because of New South Wales last year. Because I think
22. I think.
Yeah, so they picked that, but then someone got injured and they picked someone out of that 22 to come in the squad. Where I would, it's fair.
But the only thing is, Gordy, the 19, any player, you have to have a 19 because the players outside the 19
don't get paid.
If they're from teams playing this weekend, they've got to be allowed to go back and play club footy this weekend. So if you name 22, if those three players are from outside the 19,
you would know on Tuesday.
You would know because they've got to go back and play club footy this weekend.
Huge news, regardless. It looks like Kalen Ponga set to be named 7. I do feel a little bit for Sam Walker, but I will also say
Clifford was outstanding.
And I spoke to Trent Robinson on the field before the game, and I said to him about Cherry Evans and Walker. He goes, "Well, you want an audition? It's up to them." And I've got to be honest. But Clifford outplayed them both. He was outstanding. So, Jamal Fogarty was very good in that Manly game. Yeah. And so there is a lot of sevens that are putting their hand up. Ponga at 7. Well, it'll be interesting. You think he'll play 6 and Munster will most probably play 7.
I never said that.
No,
I'm not sure.
You said
I
think
said that.
Yeah. Oh, you said that. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, mate. That's probably makes a little bit more sense. They will run some traffic at him either way. Anyway, New South Wales Mail, that's everywhere. We're going to talk about that up next. This is the Sunday Sin Bin. It's Magic Round on Triple M. We're talking Origin at the moment, just that news. It is believed Kalen Ponga will be the 7 for the Queensland side. Let's shift direction and go to New South Wales.
I was hearing it was Clifford.
Yeah, could be anybody. It's still another 24
hours. Who are you hearing,
hours.
Gemma?
Reedy, New South Wales side. Lots of conjecture. Our
been a little bit more tight-lipped.
Well, I don't know. Our great mate James Hooper had a pretty big swing on Wednesday with the side, and it looked pretty good. He's obviously Tedesco ahead of Dylan Edwards at the present moment. That looks like, and
we had a tough game last night. Yeah, Teddy, I thought so. I'm not sure whether that will hurt his chances. Yeah, I think he had Casey McLean on the wing. So he had a few surprises in there. But again, Dobbo, I mean, that was on a Tuesday or whatever. Wednesday during the week. I mean, so much can change. As I said, Teddy had a pretty, for Teddy's standard, it wasn't up to his usual standard last night. So I'm not sure whether that will impact him.
What do you know at the moment? Will Aidan Fanua-Blake be in that New South Wales guy?
Yeah. He will be in, I'd imagine. Yeah, definitely. I would have thought. Interestingly, Mitch Barnett and Jackson Ford were told to bring extra gear over from New Zealand, so it looks as though they'll be in and around the squad as well. I mean, there's the obvious ones. Nathan's going to be there, Brian Toto,
Mitchell Moses will be
Young,
6.
Mitchell Moses, Robson will be in that squad.
What about the centres, mate? I've got to ask you this. Is Katoni Staggs a chance of coming out of suspension? Is he a chance of being in that side?
Of course he's a chance. I mean, he's been talked about a lot and he's played great footy, and Steve Crichton's been a bit off his game. But look, I think at the moment Steve Crichton and Latrell will be the centres. Obviously, Latrell's got a little bit of a question mark after coming off early the other night with that back problem, but I think they think he'll be fit enough to play Origins 12 days until Origin 1. It's pretty tight between Katoni and Steve Crichton. Very tight.
There's no wrong decision there.
No.
There actually is no, like, Katoni Staggs has probably been Brisbane's most consistent player, I think, for the last 18 months. He's been absolutely sensational. You can throw him the ball when nothing's happening. He can make, great yardage, off his own try line. He's so dangerous down there. He competes on everything. He's aggressive. You got Latrell, and you just got to say you got Latrell.
Yep.
And then Crichton, he has struggled, but he's a big game player. He's a bloke that you'd love to have in your side. So I don't think, a bit like Tedesco and Edwards, they're not going to make a wrong decision. It's just who you would put in there. A guy like Kamali Olakawatu, look at their back row.
He basically guaranteed his spot last night.
Yeah, unbelievable. He's there.
Crichton and Young, right? They were the Australian back rows. Outstanding. Preston is...
Well, the Malers Crichton's not in the team, Gordy.
Preston's as good as any back row in the competition.
Angus Crichton's not in.
That's been the suggestion, yeah.
Yeah, that he won't be in the side and that Staggs and Latrell are the centres. That's the mail doing around.
So the back rowers will be Hudson Young. He has to play. Olakawatu, and then Preston on the bench because Liam Martin, he's not.
He's out.
He's not going to be right.
Are they both right side back rows? Well, they are really. It was a rhetorical.
Well, they change them around.
No, they're both right side.
Yeah. There's a lot of players that really Katoni Staggs epitomises this. He can't do any more. Like, yes, he's been he's surrounded by top quality players in that Brisbane side. Obviously, Payne Haas, Reece Walsh, Adam Reynolds. The list goes on. But Katoni Staggs over the past 3 to 4 years has been absolutely phenomenal. Like, he couldn't do any. There's nothing possible that he could do any more of. Like, he tries, and that year that they had an off year in 24, each and every week he was an 8, 9, 10 out of 10. Couldn't do any more.
Do you know what Billy Slater said it a couple? I think it might have been his first or second year, right? When we were under the pump for our selections and the pick and stick and all that come out, but you pick the win.
Yeah,
that's as simple as State of Origin gets. You pick the best 17 that you believe can do the job at that ground on that day. And Billy Slater said something in his press conference. He goes, State of Origin players miss out. Yeah. He goes, State of Origin players miss out of the State of Origin team. And then New South Wales have done that for ages. But when we leave out a State of Origin player, obviously it makes a little bit more of a headline. But New South Wales, they could probably pick a team and a half that would be super competitive. We probably don't have that luxury, and we've never had that luxury, and it's not an excuse because I backed the 17 and only 17 can play, or 19 now. So but New South Wales, as I said, I'd probably pick Katoni Staggs, and I really like Hudson Young and Crichton, but I'm not selecting.
It's a good side. It's a good side.
The wing spot that's been vacated by Zach Lomax is going to be really interesting because you can fit them all in.
What about Kohler?
If you put
the Fox,
I actually think
the Fox is Australian. I mean, he was fantastic.
I think Kohler will be in the squad somewhere, potentially on the bench.
Yeah, right.
Well,
yeah, but that wing spot you could technically solve it with Crichton or even Dylan Edwards, and then you get Teddy and Edwards in the team, or you can get the centre partnership of Staggs and Latrell and play Stephen Crichton on that wing.
Yeah, that's the thing that we will know, obviously, and Laurie is going to ring all the players tonight.
Straight after the Penrith game.
And so that side will get named roughly 7:30 tomorrow morning.
I reckon Nathan Cleary's sitting by his phone.
I think he's a chance.
So he's on speed dial?
He's a chance to
make
it.
Do you know what, really, mate? Like, do you know what we should have done before the show? Preparation's poor, but we could have just had those are on speed dial. Somewhere you got to say, do you have his number?
I won't say the New South Wales official was, Gordy. I saw one last night and I said, he knows I'm a Queenslander. I said, can you give me one? Can you give me something? Just give me one.
He said,
I've got a tip for you. Nathan Cleary will be in the side. I said, thanks, mate. That's great.
Nathan Cleary, Payne Haas will be there. That's awesome. And Latrell will probably be there as well. Thank you. And Isaiah Yeo?
Yeah, he said Yeo will be there as well.
That's awesome. So do you think Robson's the hooker?
Yeah, I think Robson will be
He's
the nine.
incumbent, so I mean, that
and maybe
makes sense.
I think Blake Brayley will probably be on the bench, although Appy's knocking on the door as well.